I'm soaked to the skin the moment I step onto the rain-slicked sidewalk, the neon glow of Makati's skyscrapers dancing off the puddles, and my heart is pounding like I'm 20 again. Here, I say, pressing a thick stack of crisp peso bills into Liza's manicured hand, my voice shaking with a mix of adrenaline and relief. This should cover the ads for the next month. She smiles, that polished, confident smile that first drew me in, and there's a flicker of something, gratitude, amusement, in her dark eyes. Perfect timing, Don, she replies, tucking the money into her designer clutch with a graceful flick of her wrist. I knew I could count on you. I feel a surge of pride, like I've finally proven I'm still capable of doing something important, something worthwhile. I can't believe how fast this is moving, I admit, wiping rain from my forehead. Last week I was just a guy in Ohio with nothing but memories of a life I lost, and now I'm managing campaigns for clients in New York, London, even Sydney. Liza leans in, voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. You're not just managing, Don, you're dominating. You have the Midas touch. My chest swells at her words. I remember the crushing emptiness of my empty house back home, walls echoing with silence, the ticking clock mocking my every thought. Here, under these neon lights, with my sleeves soaked through and pesos burning a hole in my coat pocket, I feel alive. I wired the next chunk last night, I say, forcing a casual shrug that makes my shoulders ache. I want to keep the momentum. She places a hand on my arm, warm, reassuring. You're doing everything right. Trust the process. Trust. That word rings in my head, soft and insistent, drowning out the sound of the rain. I do, I whisper, though somewhere in the back of my mind a tiny voice asks how well I really know this process. Or Liza. She straightens, brushes a strand of hair from her face, and for a moment I hardly recognize her. So different from the nervous widow I met 2 weeks ago at the Manila networking event. Her dress clings to her curves, silver sequins catching every stray ray of light, and I feel a sudden dizzying attraction. Part business partner, part something I've desperately missed for years. Let's celebrate, she says, beckoning me toward a sleek black SUV idling by the curb. I've arranged a private dinner at that new rooftop bar. My mouth goes dry. A celebration? I laugh, a wild sound that surprises me. I haven't felt this alive in decades. Liza's laugh is soft, genuine. Tonight is about you. You earned it. We climb in, the door closing with a quiet thud, sealing us in our little world as the city purrs around us. I glance out. The tinted window at the rain-drenched streets, jeepneys splashing through puddles, late-night pedestrians darting for cover, and feel like I've stepped into a movie I barely deserve. Did I ever tell you about Ohio? I begin, shifting in my seat to face her. The driver adjusts his mirror, giving us privacy in a single glance. Back home, I was a nobody, retired after 30 years in advertising, thinking I'd finally rest. But rest never came. Liza listens, nodding, her eyes never leaving mine. I get it, she says. Starting over is terrifying. Her empathy is balm to my soul, and I lean closer, the hum of the engine forgotten. I thought my best days were behind me, I admit, voice low. Then you walked into my life with promises of growth, of purpose. She reaches for my hand, the leather of my glove brushing against her bare skin. You took a risk, she says softly. And it's paying off. My thoughts spin. Risk, reward, trust. I feel like I could conquer the world with her by my side. The SUV glides into a parking bay atop a skyscraper, the rain still drumming on the roof. We emerge into a kaleidoscope of city lights and polished marble, and I can't stop grinning. A waiter leads us to a table overlooking the cityscape, pouring champagne that sparkles like liquid diamonds in the soft glow. I raise my glass and catch Liza's gaze. To new beginnings, I toast, my voice catching with emotion I've long buried. To proving that age is just a number. She clinks, her flute against mine, eyes shining. To us, she whispers. I swallow the champagne, its crisp sweetness burning a warm path down my throat. Everything is perfect, too perfect maybe, but I can't think about that now. I lean back, and let the moment wash over me. The laughter, the clinking glasses, the distant thunder rolling across the sky. "You're amazing," I tell her, voice thick. "I don't know where I'd be without you." She reaches across the table and tucks a stray lock of hair behind my ear. "You'd be fine," she says with a playful smile, "but I'm glad I found you." Her words send a thrill through me, and I take her hand, holding it like a lifeline. "I've never felt more alive," I say, and the words feel true. I've wired nearly $750,000. I've left everything behind in Ohio, and I've staked my hope on this partnership, on her. As thunder rumbles overhead, I look into Liza's eyes and believe, in that charged electric moment, that I've finally outsmarted fate. And maybe, just maybe, I have. I remember that morning like it was yesterday, sitting at a small wooden table in that quiet Makati cafe, the aroma of kopi and warm pandesal drifting around us, and I couldn't stop shaking with nerves. Liza slid into the seat opposite me, smoothing her skirt, and said, "You look like you could use another cup." I managed a crooked smile and set my trembling hands around the mug. "Thanks. I haven't been this nervous in years." Her eye softened as she took a sip of her coffee. "First meetings can be scary." I cleared my throat. "I lost my wife 6 years ago," I found myself blurting out, voice cracking. "I thought I'd never feel anything again." She placed her hand on mine, light, reassuring. "I'm sorry for your loss, Don. I'm honored you agreed to meet me." I swallowed hard, heart pounding. "You sounded so confident on the phone. I needed that." She laughed softly. "You think ad sets are hard? Try negotiating rent in Taguig." I laughed too, tension easing. "Fair point." I leaned back, letting her warmth wash over me. I was a widower at 62, aimless after 30 years in advertising. I thought retirement would be peaceful, but loneliness is louder than any deadline. She nodded, eyes fixed on mine. "I understand. I grew up watching my parents struggle. I learned to fight for every peso." I shifted, voice low. "So when you called about managing your freelancers, I jumped." She smiled, that radiant, confident smile that made me feel seen. "You have the experience and I have the network. We fit." I could feel tears behind my eyes. I needed someone to believe in me. She reached across and squeezed my hand. "I do." My mind raced. Was I rushing into something? But hearing her say "I do" felt like the promise of spring after a long winter. I forced myself to focus. "Tell me again how you found me." She tilted her head, amused. "Your wife's charity gala in Cebu. You donated a generous sum and I spotted your name in the guest list." I asked around. My heart fluttered. She'd noticed me in a crowd of strangers. "That gala was the last thing I organized. I thought it was meaningless." She shook her head slowly. "You gave hope to those children. That's meaningful." Silence fell as her words sank in. I stared at the rough wooden tabletop, suddenly ashamed of my self-doubt. I never thought I'd have purpose again. She leaned forward, voice earnest. "You do, with me." I laughed, though it sounded hollow. "Or for me." Her eyes flicked away for a heartbeat, and I felt a pang of something unease. My chest tightened. She recovered instantly. "Both." I nodded, but my mind whispered, "Trust but verify." I pushed it down. "How did you build this network?" I asked. She grinned, a flash of pride. "Years of late nights, cold calls, and favors owed. I handle logistics. You handle strategy." I ran my thumb over the rim of my coffee cup. "And payment?" She lifted an eyebrow. "Transparent. You wire funds. I distribute to freelancers. I share reports. Simple." I exhaled, relief and excitement mingling. Simple sounds good. Another silence, warmer this time. I glanced at her plate. 3 pandan rolls left untouched. "Eat something." She laughed and took a bite, crumbs dancing off her lips. "I'm fine." I watched, mesmerized by the small gesture. "Tell me more about Taguig," I said, leaning in. She described bustling markets, towering condos, her favorite street food stall. I interrupted with a question. "What's the biggest challenge here?" She sighed, voice low. "Trust. Many older clients get scammed. They send money, then disappear. My chest tightened. I've been scammed before. Her eyes went soft with empathy. I promised transparency, daily updates, screenshots. I closed my eyes, recalling the emptiness when my wife passed, the fear of missing the next chance at connection. I need that. She reached across and brushed my knuckles with her fingertips. Warm, real. You have it. A waiter approached and refilled our cups. I thanked him, then turned back. I should tell you, my family warned me about online deals in Manila. She tilted her head. Family worries are normal, but I wouldn't risk my reputation or yours. Her tone was gentle but firm, like she believed in me more than I believed in myself. My stomach churned with gratitude, and a flicker of suspicion I quickly smothered. I trust you. She smiled, bright and open. That's all I ask. I watched her tuck a loose strand of hair behind her ear. Why help me? I blurted, catching her off guard. The cafe's soft morning light glinted in her eyes as she answered quietly, because I believe in second chances for everyone. My throat caught. You believe in me. She leaned forward, voice barely above. A whisper. Yes. I could barely contain my emotion. I wanted to stand and hug her, to let the loneliness flood out. Instead, I nodded, words stuck in my throat. Okay, I finally said, voice raw. Let's do this. She beamed. Welcome aboard, Captain. I laughed, the sound echoing around the empty cafe, and for a moment I forgot the years of solitude. We sat there, two unlikely partners sharing kopi and pandesal, forging a bond neither of us fully understood yet, but both desperately needed. And as I watched her laugh at a silly joke, I believed, just for a moment, that I had found a lifeline in this crowded city of strangers. I dial her number again at midnight, heart pounding, but it goes straight to voicemail. I lie in bed listening to the hum of the air conditioner, convincing myself she's busy, she'll call back. The next morning I check my email. No invoice, no payment confirmation. I text, "Good morning, Liza. Did you get a chance to send the receipt?" Minutes crawl by before her reply. "Bank holiday here, I'll send by end of day. Sorry for delay." I stare at those words, nodding to myself. Bank holiday makes sense. That afternoon I call and get another apology. I promise, Don, you'll have it by tomorrow morning. I hang up feeling relieved and foolish for doubting her. That night I toss and turn on a stiff Manila guest house mattress, mind racing through every transaction. 150,000 pesos here, 200,000 pesos there. My chest tightens when I remember the pile of receipts she showed me in blurry photos. I whisper into the dark, "It's fine. It's just paperwork." My phone buzzes with her text. "Sending now." I sit up, fingers trembling as I open the image. Another blurry snapshot of a bank screen. "Looks good," I reply, even though I can't read the numbers clearly. I lean back, closing my eyes against a sudden wave of panic. What if something's wrong? Tomorrow, I tell myself. Tomorrow, when I see the official document, I'll calm down. At dawn, I'm wide awake. I scroll through my bank app again and again. No deposit. My palms sweat as I draft a message. "Liza, I still don't see the transfer. Can you check?" She responds within minutes. I checked. It's pending due to processing delay. Should arrive soon. Her words are smooth, rehearsed. I stare at the screen, craving doubt but swallowing it. Later that day I walk along EDSA, crowded with jeepneys and taxis, and tell myself I'm overthinking. I replay her voice, soft, apologetic. "I wouldn't lie to you, Don." That line echoes in my head. So I reply, "I know," but inside I'm screaming for proof. That evening I arrange to meet her at the same cafe where we first talked. My stomach knots as I wait, coffee gone cold. She arrives, radiant in a new blouse. "You look tired," she says, sliding into the seat. Her gaze flicks to my laptop screen. "Still checking?" I force a smile. "Just old habits." She reaches across and smooths my hair back. "You're doing great, don't stress." I feel the warmth of her hand, guilt twisting in my chest. "I'm worried," I blurt. She sighs, gentle irritation in her voice. "Don, every system has delays. Give it another day." Her tone shuts down my protests and I nod, sinking into denial. I watch her order espresso, the barista's steam swirling around her. She's so confident. The way she talks to locals in Tagalog, laughs with the staff. I swallow, remembering how I admired that skill. But tonight, I wonder if that same skill hides truths. I force a question, voice low. Are we okay? She meets my eyes, expression calm. We're perfect. Her certainty smooths the last edges of my doubt. I smile, relieved, leaning forward. Good. We toast to our partnership, coffee cups clinking, and I taste bitterness I can't blame. On the espresso. She stands, draping her bag over her shoulder. I have a meeting, she says, slipping out without waiting for me to offer a ride. I watch her go, shoulders straight, and feel the first real pang of something I can't name. After she leaves, I stare at an empty chair, mind replaying her every word, looking for cracks I can't find. I tuck my laptop away and walk back to my guest house through deserted streets, footsteps echoing. My thoughts whirl. Did I misjudge? Am I just a fool? I tell myself I'll wait one more day. If the transfer isn't there, I'll confront her. But at 3 a.m., I wake again. Phone in, hand eyes stinging. No notification. I slide into the hallway and tap on my bank app. Still nothing. My heart pounds so loud I'm sure someone will hear. I press her number and leave a voice message. Liza, I really need that confirmation now. I stand in the dark, listening to the recording play, breathing hard. When it ends, there's no response. My chest tightens as I whisper, "What am I doing?" The guest house door creaks and I glance around, imagining shadows moving against the walls like secrets. I slump against the door, sliding to the floor, knees drawn to my chest. My inner voice screams, "You trusted her. How could you?" Hours pass. Morning light seeps through the blinds, gray and unforgiving. My phone lights up with a text. "Sorry, Dawn, I'll handle it today." I read and reread those words, mouth dry. She still says sorry, still delays. I press the screen, thumb hovering. Hover reply. I want to demand answers, but my voice catches. Instead, I type, "Please don't apologize, just send me proof." My finger hesitates before I send. I stare at the tiny words on the big glass, waiting. In that moment, I realize my hope is tangled with fear, and I don't know which is stronger. I stand, wiping damp palms on my jeans, and decide I'll track this until I get the truth. No more excuses. I won't let my need for trust blind me again. I'm standing under the harsh fluorescent lights of the BGC bank lobby at midnight, sweat beading on my forehead as I slide through another withdrawal slip for PHP 7 million. Another $150,000 for urgent freelancer salaries. My hands shake when I hand it to the teller, and I wonder, why am I doing this? Because I trust her. I step outside into the warm Manila night and dial Liza's number, voice low. "I just wired the funds," I say. "You'll see it any minute." She laughs softly. "You're a lifesaver, Don. Your family here." That word, family, echoes in my mind, reminding me how lonely I've been since my wife died. "Will you send the receipts?" I ask. "Of course," she replies. "I'll text them tonight." My phone lights up with blurry photos of a bank slip and a screen of transaction confirmations, so pixelated I can't read a thing. I swallow, forcing a grateful smile. They look great. I tuck the phone away, guilt twisting in my gut as I remember Mark's WhatsApp message. "Man." Step back. This is insane. I deleted it without a second thought. I dial him now, voice rough. "Mark, He cuts me off. "Don, I'm serious. I've seen scams and cons. You're pouring money into thin air." I press my back against a pillar, heart hammering. I know what I'm doing. His sigh is heavy. "Are you sure? You sound stressed." I close my eyes, tasting regret. I can handle this. He doesn't reply. I hang up and lean into the night, telling myself I'm proud to be part of something again. But when I check my bank app in the taxi, there's no withdrawal record. My chest tightens. I replay Liza's last text. Processing delay. I bury my doubt, telling myself tomorrow the proof will come. Back at my guest house, I prop myself up on the bed and reply, "Thanks for handling it, Liza." My phone buzzes. On it now. I exhale, sinking into pillows. At 3 a.m., I wake to a new message. Another blurry image. I squint. Could that be the amount? My mind races, but I convince myself. Blurry doesn't mean false. At dawn, I email her. I need clear invoices. Hours later, she calls, voice sweet. "Don, I'm sorry. I was held up at a family matter. I'll get you clear scans by this." Evening. I hear the strain in my own voice when I say, "Please do." That evening, I pace the rooftop terrace, Manila lights glittering below, and stare at my phone. A notification pops up. Invoices attached. I open the PDF. Blank. Pages. My breath catches. I tap her number. "Liza, these are blank." Silence, then. Must be a glitch. I'll resend. I punch a pillow, nails digging into the fabric. My inner voice screams, "What are you doing?" Cutting through my panic, I dial Mark again. "Mark, she sent me nothing." His tone is tight. "I told you." I drop into a chair, head in my hands. I can't believe I did this. He answers softly, "Stop. Walk away." I close my eyes, tears hot. I can't. My pride sticks me here, refusing to admit I'm wrong. My phone lights up. Her apology text. "I'll fix it tomorrow." I stare at the words and wonder who I've become, an old fool chasing shadows. I whisper into the dark, "I trust you." My heart aches at the lie. I decide I'll wait one more day. If she's real, she'll prove it. If not, I'll break free. I drift to uneasy sleep, uncertain whether regret or relief will greet me at sunrise. I'm jolted awake by silence where her voice used to be, my phone blinking with unanswered messages, and I whisper, "Liza?" My heart pounds as I slip on sandals and rush down the corridor to her apartment door, locked tight. I pound 3 times. "Liza, please." No answer. I press my ear against the cool wood and listen to my own ragged breathing. Panic scorches my throat as I dial her number, straight to deactivated voicemail. I stumble out into the Manila morning, city noise, muffled by my dread. I shout her name down the stairs, over revving engines and honking jeepneys throat raw. My legs carry me onto the crowded street, weaving past vendors and commuters, and I taste bile as the truth claws at my mind. She's gone. I retrace every step. The cafe where we shared kopi, the rooftop bar where we toasted our future, the bank where I wired hundreds of thousands. I replay her last words. "Trust me, Don." My voice cracks as I whisper on the sidewalk. All those dinners, those promises, gone. Cars rush by me and I feel invisible, like I'm shouting into a storm. I pull out my phone and scroll through texts, my questions, her polite apologies, my forced reassurances. Each message is a monument to my denial, and I realize she vanished with at least $300,000. My chest tightens when I look at my bank app. The withdrawals are real, but the deposits are a lie. I press her picture in my pocket, her smile frozen in time, and ask the empty sky, why? A vendor offers me a pastry. I wave him away without seeing. I'm a man unmoored, grief replacing hope. I should have seen it, I mutter, rubbing my face with trembling fingers. The city presses in around me, towering buildings, endless crowds, but I feel utterly alone. I dial Mark on WhatsApp despite hating to admit defeat. When he answers, I choke out, "She's gone." His silence is a hard slap. "I told you," he says finally. "You need to report it." I blink back tears and whisper, "Report what? My heart?" I hang up and walk until my legs burn, until the humidity clings to my skin like guilt. I find myself at a church doorway, kneeling on cracked steps, voice low, "Please, just bring her back." No echo answers me. I rise, head spinning, and pull out my keys to unlock my phone again. Hundreds of missed calls to her, my frantic voicemails begging for truth. I smash the call button against her number, but it won't connect. Anger flares. Why did I trust you? I roar to an uncaring sky. My reflection shimmers in a glass storefront. I barely recognize the hollow eyes staring back. They say grief is love with nowhere to go, but this is betrayal. Sharp, corrosive. I keep calling her name down empty streets until my voice fades. A tuk-tuk driver slows beside me and asks if I need a ride. I shake my head, too numb to respond. He shrugs and drives off, vanishing like she did. I wander through a street market where colorful fabrics brush my arms, but the world is colorless. I come to a halt by a fountain, water sparkling, and drop to my knees, chest heaving. My inner voice screams, "I'm a fool. I gave everything." No confrontation, no final fight, just the echo of her absence. I clutch my phone to my chest, tears burning, and whisper, "I trusted you." The fountain spray drenches my face, but I don't feel it. I stand and push through my despair, each step heavy as guilt. I decide I'll report the disappearance and the missing funds to the bank, to the police, to anyone who will listen. My pride is shattered, but I have to reclaim something. My dignity, my truth. As I walk away from the fountain, the city reclaims me. Strangers brushing past, life buzzing on, while my world remains hollow. I press on, knowing I must pick up the pieces of a life she shattered. My breathing slows as resolve takes root. I will face this betrayal even if it breaks me. I will tell my story. I wake after 2 hours of restless sleep, muscles aching from pacing Manila's alleys, and my first thought is, I'm an old fool in a strange land. I sit up on the thin mattress, heart pounding, and dial Liza's number, straight to voicemail. My mind races through every missed message, every blurry invoice, and I whisper into the dark room, why did I trust her? I pull on a worn shirt and stumble into the hallway, the corridor lights flickering overhead as if mocking my exhaustion. I step into the chaos of the street before dawn, vendors setting up carts, jeepneys rumbling past, and I recall sobbing in a tuk-tuk when my wallet lay empty on my lap. I'm ruined, I choked out between tears, the driver's silent sympathy burning into my memory. I tell myself I must move, must do something, anything, to fix this. I wander through a crowded market, touch colorful sarongs without seeing them, listen to haggling voices without understanding, my thoughts looping. I lost everything for her. Her jeepney driver slaps the side of his seat and calls to me, "Sir, need a ride? Got work for 1 week." I pause, throat tight, and force myself to say, "No, thank you." Shame floods me, like begging for a job would expose my ruin. I turn away, head bowed. Hours pass without thought. I recheck my phone, replay her last apology. "I'm so sorry, Don. I promise I'll make it right." I taste bile. I remember the embassy scene. Fluorescent lights, a stern official sliding a form across the desk, and me fumbling to explain, voice breaking, "I need an emergency loan, please." The clerk's pity felt like salt in my wound. "This is a last resort," I'd insisted, signing my name with trembling hand. I stare now at a crumpled copy of that loan agreement in my pocket and wonder how far I've fallen. I shuffle toward the embassy again, hoping for deliverance, but only find long lines and indifferent guards. I step outside into a wall of humidity and whisper, "I'm alone." My inner voice echoes with regret. I should have stopped at the first debt. I trudge back to a tuk-tuk stand, sliding onto a vinyl seat that sticks to my clothes. The driver glances at me in the mirror. "Where to, sir?" he asks kindly. I blink away tears. "Anywhere but here." He nods and rumbles off. My body slumps as we navigate narrow lanes. "You okay, sir?" he asks after a while, hesitant. I blink at his reflection, compassion in a stranger's eyes. "No," I admit, voice low. His grip on the handle tightens. "You look like you lost more than money." I swallow, heart raw. "I lost trust." He nods slowly. "Trust can be as heavy as any burden." I close my eyes and feel the jeepney sway, whispering, "Yes." The city lights flicker on, but inside me all lights have gone out. The driver offers me a small packet of water and a smile. I hold it like a lifeline, throat tight with gratitude and grief. I reach in my pocket and hand him a peso. "Thank you," I manage. He shakes his head. "No, you keep it. Use it for tomorrow." His kindness stabs me with shame and hope. I say I can't, but he insists, nudging the money back. "You'll need it more than me." I swallow hard and accept. We stop. At my guest house. I hand him my remaining bills. He bows. "Take care, sir. You're not alone." I watch him drive off, his figure bouncing in the dark. I stand on the curb and let tears flow. The market's distant hum is a lullaby for the shattered. I fold the peso into my palm and whisper, "Maybe I can start again." My legs give way, and I sink onto the curb, head in my hands, breathing ragged. For the first time since it all began, I feel something softer than fear. It's fear mixed with something else, maybe hope. I stand, pocket the peso, and step forward toward the neon glow of dawn. I settled at my laptop in the guest house late one night, fingers trembling as I opened a blank email draft and stared at the cursor blinking like an accusation. I typed, "Liza, I need answers." My heart pounded as I wrote how I'd emptied my savings for her freelancers, how I'd believed her promises, and how devastated I was when the funds never arrived. I paused, thumb hovering over the keyboard, and whispered, "Why did I trust you?" Then I typed another line, "Please return at least part of my money." My chest tightened as I added, "I'm begging you, Liza," and hit a shaky period. I read it back, pleading, raw, vulnerable, and pressed send. The email whooshed away, and I felt an odd rush of relief. I sank back into the chair, telling myself this was closure, that I had finally spoken my truth. 10 minutes later, my inbox chimed. I opened her reply with shaking hands. "I'm sorry you feel this way." My breath caught. Those 6 words felt like a blade digging into my chest. I read again, convinced I'd misread. "I'm sorry you feel this way." No explanation, no admission of fault, no offer to make things right. Just an echo of my own pain reframed as my problem. I shut my eyes, tasting bile. "You're sorry?" "I feel this way," I whispered, voice raw. I typed, "That's not an apology," into the reply box, but then deleted it. What was the point? Liza wasn't here to hear my grief. I watched the cursor blink and realized I didn't need more emptiness on the screen. I closed the laptop and rubbed my forehead. My inner voice hissed, "She never cared." I opened the email again to reread her cold words, my last tether to hope, and felt tears burn my eyes. I whispered, "Goodbye, Liza," and clicked the unfriend button on my social account where we'd been connected. Our tiny confirmation popped up. "Are you sure?" My finger hesitated over yes. I thought of her smile in the cafe, the warmth in her voice when she said I was family. I remembered pressing pesos into her hands and believing I'd found purpose. Now that belief lay in ashes at my feet. I took a shaky breath and clicked yes. The screen refreshed. My profile showed no mutual connection, no trace of her. An emptiness stretched across the page, mocking me. I leaned back, the chair creaking beneath me, and stared at the silent inbox. No new messages, no apologies, no explanations, just the quiet of nothingness. I closed my eyes and let the silence fill me. My inner monologue whispered, I deserved answers. But the answers would never come. Instead of relief, my chest felt hollow, like I'd carved out the last piece of hope and thrown it away. I sank forward, elbows on the desk, head in my hands, and let the tears flow. Each drop felt like admission. I was alone. I had reached out one last time, pleaded, and found only indifference. My phone lay beside me, its screen dark. The world outside carried on. Jeepneys roared down the street. Distant laughter echoed in the courtyard. But here, in my small room, time had stopped. I sat motionless, thinking of every red flag I'd ignored, the blurry invoices, the empty promises, the deflections when I asked for proof. I whispered to the empty room. I should have seen it. My voice cracked. I tightened my fists on the desk, knuckles whitening, and vowed I would tell my story. Not for her, but for me. I opened a new document and began to type. This is what happened. The first words glowed on the screen, and I felt a flicker of strength amid the ruins of my trust. I typed faster, pouring out everything. My heartbreak, my regret, my lessons learned. The chapter ended not with closure from her, but with my own voice finally heard. As the first light of dawn slipped through the curtains, I sent that document to myself, a record of my truth. And when I hit save, the silent inbox remained untouched, but inside me something shifted. I pressed a hand to my chest and whispered, "I'll be okay." The room was quiet, my story now safely in my control, and for the first time since it began, I believed I could move on. I walk along the edge of Manila Bay at dawn, my shoes scuffing, wet sand as fishermen cast nets into the pale light, and I realize I haven't replayed her lies in hours. A sunbeam splits through low clouds, warming my face, and I pause to breathe, noticing the way the water shimmers like broken glass. A child's laughter drifts from a nearby pier where a boy splashes after crabs, and for a moment I feel something softer than regret. I whisper to myself, I wanted to believe more than I wanted the truth, and the words settle deep in my chest. I raise my eyes to the horizon and think of all the times I scrolled through her messages, trying to find the real woman behind the promises and understand that I needed this clarity, more than I needed closure from her. A gust of wind carries a salty tang, and I press my palms to my temples, remembering the ache in my gut when I first woke to unanswered calls. Now I feel hollow but awake. I trace my finger along a weathered bollard and watch a small fishing boat bob through gentle waves, its crew chanting softly as they haul in the morning catch. I step closer and say quietly, "Good morning," though they don't hear me. Their steady rhythm reminds me I can find a new pace. I lean on a railing and close my eyes, grateful for the lullaby of the sea instead of the buzzing of missing notifications. I realize my mistakes are mine alone, my greed, my gullibility, and accept that blame falls squarely on my own shoulders. My inner voice softens. I can't change what I did, but I can decide what comes next. I pull out my phone and scroll through contacts until I find Mark. My thumb hesitates before I tap Skype, and my heart thumps like early patrol sirens. The ringing tone echoes all the doubt I once felt. But I steady my breath and answer when he appears, his face blinking into view. "Don," he says, concern etched in his eyes. My throat tightens. "Mark, I'm sorry I ignored you," I confess, voice catching. He leans closer, whispering, "It's okay, man. How are you?" I swallow hard against the lump in my throat, sunlight catching the tear I blink away. "I'm clearer," I admit, my voice trembling with both relief and lingering pain. I stare at his expression and realize how long it's been since I owned my truth. "I walked the bay," I say softly. "I stopped listening to her lies." He nods, lips tight. "That's a start." My chest loosens. I push back damp hair and whisper, "Thank you." He offers a small smile through the screen, his presence a lifeline I once dismissed. I lean back, letting the sea breeze fill my lungs, and say, "I think I can go home now." His eyes brighten and he murmurs, "You've earned that." I end the call and pocket my phone, the world humming with possibility. I turn to face the sunrise, each step away from the water feeling lighter, as if the weight of all my regrets is finally lifting. I rise early the next morning, sandals in hand, and head back to Manila Bay, determined to plan my return home. I pause by a cluster of fishermen unloading nets stacked with silver fish and ask, "How much for a ride to the port?" They exchange glances. One says, "Come back at noon." I nod and thank him, marveling that simple transactions no longer feel like betrayals. My inner voice brims with cautious hope. I'm reclaiming my power. I slide my phone from my pocket, no messages from her, and I feel no urge to check. I type a note, "Book flight tomorrow." My finger hesitates, then taps send to Mark. I'm ready. Within minutes his reply appears, "Let's do it." I lean against a weather-worn bench as a stray dog pads by, and I scratch its ears, finding comfort in its gentle acceptance. A woman selling mangosteens calls out, "Sir, fresh fruit." I smile and buy a handful, the sweet juice reminding me life still holds small pleasures. I walk back to my guest house munching, Fruit and think. I used to need grand gestures to feel alive. Now a sunrise and fruit suffice. I pop open my laptop and book a flight for the next morning, heart fluttering as I confirm my seat home. I send another message to Mark. Thanks for staying. He video calls instantly, and I see relief wash over his face. I'm proud of you, he says quietly. My voice cracks as I reply, I'm proud of me. Silence hangs before he adds, what's next? I glance out the window at the city waking up, jeepneys rattling, vendors shouting, and tell him, I'll spend one more day here, then I head back to Ohio. He nods, tone warm. Good plan. I close my laptop and rise, legs unsteady but eager. I head for the door, then pause and look back at the empty chair where I once replayed her promises. I whisper, goodbye, and step outside, the morning air crisp on my skin. I wander to a quiet cafe, order coffee, and sit with my thoughts. No phone calls, no invoices, just me breathing. A waiter asks, Sir, more coffee? And I say, yes, please. His kindness slides into my soul. I sip slowly and think, I lost money but found myself. My inner monologue is gentle now. I believed too much, but now I know better. I finish my cup, slide bills on the table, and walk back to the bay one last time. Fishermen nod as I pass. I pause at the railing and say softly, thank you. My voice catches on the breeze. I turn to face the dawn, chest open, and realize I'm not the same man who chased ghosts. I'm someone new, aware, humbled, and free to begin again. I step away from the water, each footfall firm with purpose, and leave behind the shadows of betrayal for the light of a fresh start. I'm hunched in the back of a battered tuk-tuk at dawn, $3 clutched in my palm, and I say to the driver, take me wherever. He grins through the rearview mirror, nods, and the engine sputters to life. I feel the sun's first warmth on my neck and think, I've never felt lighter. I whisper to myself, money can't buy love, and repeat it like a mantra. The streets slide by, vendors setting up stalls, children chasing a stray dog, and I feel new eyes on the world. The driver glances at me and says, new start? I manage a weak laugh. Something like that. He shrugs, stops at a red light, and I cup my dollar bills, counting them again. 3 crisp $1 notes, enough for this ride and maybe a cup of coffee. I look out and murmur, trust must be earned. My voice sounds oddly strong. He asks, going home soon? I shake my head. No, first I give back. He hums and we pull away. I ask, ever heard of community centers here? He nods slowly. They help street kids, seniors. I press my lips together, heart fluttering. I'll volunteer. He raises an eyebrow. Good man. My inner voice flares. I can still be good. A stray breeze carries the scent of frying fish and sweet mango. I close my eyes and inhale deeply. The tuk-tuk jolts over a pothole and I grip the rail, heart thumping. This, I tell the driver, feels real. He nods without turning. I lean back and let my mind roam, replaying lessons. Chasing illusions led me here, but purpose might guide me out. I murmur, real connections, not quick fixes. Thinking of viewers who might hear this confession, the driver glances again and says, you okay, sir? I smile and say, I will be. My chest tightens with quiet pride. At a fork, he pulls up beside a small building painted bright blue with a simple sign, Manila Helping Hands. I press a finger to the window. Here. He slows and I climb out, dropping my $3 into his open palm. Thank you. He waves and drives off. I stand before the center's door, heart pounding in my ears. I push it open and step into a cool, echoing hall where staff greet me with warm smiles. A woman approaches, clipboard in hand, and says, you're our new volunteer? I swallow and nod. I'm Don. She extends her hand. Welcome. Don? I shake it, feeling the firmness of a genuine connection. She hands me an apron. Ready to start? I glance at the battered walls, the children's drawings, and whisper, yes. My inner monologue goes quiet for the first time. No, Shame, no regret, only determination. I sling the apron over my shoulder and take a deep breath, stepping fully into this new role. My phone buzzes with Mark's message. Proud of you. I read it, smile wide, and reply, thank you. I tuck the phone away. Around me, volunteers chat, children laugh, and I think, this is real life. I wipe my hands on the apron, look up at the morning sun streaming through a dusty window, and say aloud, I'm ready. No fear lingers. Only a calm purpose guiding me forward. Scarred but awake. I spend the morning serving meals, wiping tables, and listening to stories of hardship and hope from both staff and visitors, and each conversation feeds a sense of purpose I haven't felt in years. A young man named Rico stops by, voice low as he says, thank you, sir, I used to beg on the streets. I meet his eyes. You're welcome. Inside me, a spark lights. I can help more than money ever allowed. I glance at the clock, noon, and smile at my reflection in a polished window. My inner voice murmurs, this is worth more than pesos. Later, I sit with a group of elderly women knitting scarves for winter, and one of them jokes, you're our favorite volunteer, Uncle Don. I laugh, a warm, genuine sound, and reply, then I'm honored. She pats my hand. You bring hope. The weight of those words rests in my chest. I think back to the day I believed her lies. The day I nearly lost everything and whisper, I've learned. My phone buzzes with another message from Mark. Flight in 24 hours? I reply, booked. He writes, see you soon. I close the conversation and slide the phone into my pocket. I stand at the center's gate, watching a small group of children wave goodbye as they leave with their parents. And I feel a swelling pride. I'm part of something true. A staff member, Maria, approaches and says gently, Don, we could use your help writing a newsletter about our work. My heart flutters. I'd be happy to. I follow her inside, sit at a desk and start typing my story. How I lost money. How I almost lost myself, and how I found new purpose here. My fingers fly over the keys, each word a step away from betrayal and toward redemption. Maria glances over my shoulder and murmurs, beautiful. I nod, heart full. Later, I step. Outside again, dusk settling over the bay. I lean against a lamppost and call the Tuk-Tuk driver from this morning. When he arrives, I climb in and say, take me to the ferry terminal. He grins. See you again. I smile back, tapping my pocket where $3 once rested. Maybe. I let the breeze whip through the open sides, watching neon reflections on the water. I whisper, I'm going home. He nods as if he understands more than my broken Tagalog. At the terminal, I step onto the ferry, the engines humming beneath me. I turn back to the city's skyline, lights twinkling like distant promises, and I murmur, goodbye, Manila. My inner voice swells with quiet strength. I came here a fool, but I leave awakened. I feel my shoulders lift, head held high, as the ferry cuts through the dark water. I clutch my coat around me and say softly, to the empty deck I'll rebuild, and in that moment I know I will.